Welcome to the 67th edition of Women's Wrestling Weekly, the show. I am Kyle Klingman, joined by Scott Beck. Scott, we have a little catching up to do. We have Zagreb Open results to go over. We have Her Duels results to go over. We have the anticipation of the first ever NCAA regionals coming up this weekend. We get to see what lineups will get used for some of these power teams that have such depth, but we have to start with the Zagreb Open and the performance of high schooler Everest Leydecker. I think you can make a case plausibly that Everest Leydecker is in that conversation as the greatest high school female wrestler from the United States of all time. You just look at what she's done, the progression she's made over the course of the last year. She makes Final X, got second at the U.S. Open. Now she's won the Bill Farrell Memorial International. Now she's won an international ranking tournament at 53 kilograms. And I think we can agree that she's probably at that world bronze medal level. We'll have to see what she can do. We're going to find out at Real American Freestyle when she's going to wrestle an Olympic silver medalist, world silver medalist in Yepez Guzman. So that's going to be fun to see where she is with that, where her style leads her, and just to see that explosiveness against the control style of Everest Leydecker.
Yeah, I mean, in that tournament, she beat Antim of India, who's a two-time world bronze medalist at the senior level, age group champion, age group world champ. And Antim, tech Katie Gomez in the quarters. So we had the benchmark there that it wasn't like a bad version of Antim, right? She tech Katie Gomez, who's obviously exceptionally good. So Leidecker, beat her 2-2. So close match, but she's right there, two-time world bronze medal. She beat her, and then she beat a seasoned Zasina from Poland in the finals who took her to U12. I think IMAI, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, from Japan. Maybe, I'm not sure of that one. But, Zasina beat her on criteria 1-1. May is I believe, a U23 silver champ. I mean, who's, has accolades. So, and then, Leidecker dominated her 7-0 in the finals. Really, it was a little close in the first period, but just as the match went on, she scored more, frustrated her. Leidecker is very hard to score on, and she's very long and knows how to use that length. So, I think the Guzman match is going to be really interesting. I could absolutely see Leidecker winning, and I could see a scenario where she has some trouble with her because Yepez Guzman is very explosive and finishes doubles clean. But Leidecker, I'm sure, will be prepared for that match and understand that style she'll be wrestling. So looking forward to seeing that. But she's absolutely at that senior world medalists, range already. And clearly, I mean, you have to consider one of the best ever in high school. I mean, she, as a junior in high school, made Final X. She's winning senior level tournaments. She's absolutely. I mean, there's a bunch of good ones over time. Obviously, Kennedy Blades. Welker. Helen was great. Amit. Yeah, I mean, Amit. It's hard not to say Amit. I mean, Amit. Would have probably she missed the Olympics by a day, right?
Yeah.
Being able to be in the, and I bet she would have been a medal contender. I mean, Amit's got to be up there, and then Tatiana Suarez, who made world teams. There's a lot, but she absolutely is in the discussion for sure.
And when you talked about her finals opponent, if you go to her UWW profile, it is long and you have to scroll down. Now, a couple things on that.
She's a woman,
Yeah,
a
she's
seasoned
strong.
woman.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
just two things. It's interesting because we've just harped on the pronunciation piece. They are saying Leydecker.
With our men B representing USA, Everest Leydecker.
I'm so used to it, it's hard even to say it wrong now, but they were saying Leydecker at the UWW event, so they have it wrong on the loudspeaker. But if you're trying to look up Everest's name on UWW on the athletes, and I go there all the time, probably every day, they don't have the R on there. So if you're looking for Everest Leydecker and trying to look her up, just do it without the R. So it's Leideck, and they forgot the R. But just in case you're trying to look her up on UWW, that's what you have to do.
You look up, just in case anybody's ever going through the torment that we do. If you go to the web page and there's an athletes and results tab, if you don't get it right, with spelling, or sometimes it's hyphenated. Sometimes you have to look it up. You don't give up after the first go through. Sometimes you put the first name, or naturally, if you put the last name in and it goes to the next like space, you got to like backspace if there's an extra space at the end before you hit search. You have to. There is no room for error, and you have to get it right. So you need to try sometimes shorten a name and do the first 5 letters and search, and then go through that and come through it. But I mean, I appreciate the database. It's not great to look. Like sometimes things get cut off in scrolling when you're looking up the results and you can't see everything. But it's a tremendous database, and I would just say, be frustrated, don't give up, and keep trying to figure it out.
And especially with some of the Indians where it might be an Anthem the younger, and then you don't know if you have mixed results. Because I think even the one that she wrestled, it has her at 65 kilos early, and then it drops down to 53. So I don't think it's the right one. So you're going to have to mix and match and figure things out and go through a rabbit hole. But it is fun to get
Yeah.
in there. But if you're looking up Everest Leydecker on UWW, do not put the R, put Leideck and then without the R.
Yep.
Now, the rest of the Zagreb, I think it was just a good tournament, exactly what we've talked about, what you need. You're going there to find where you are. Everest Leydecker wins gold. She goes 3-0. And then there's some good results here. You have Amanda Martinez getting bronze, Abby Netty getting bronze, Janiak or Yanyak, Alexis Yanyak getting silver, Macy Kilty bronze, Kennedy Blades got fifth, but she didn't wrestle in her bronze medal match. And you have just a good a range of results. Ariana Velasqueza got bronze, and then some of the others
She beat Amani Jones for bronze. So that was, she had a close loss, Velasqueza. And then, I think just of note, just we need to keep an eye on this. Okay. So the Indian at 57, Manisha, has wrestled her career. She's been around for a while. She's wrestled at 65. She's wrestled at 62. She's had some success, age groups, some, world silvers, I think. And now she dropped to 57. And she took out Takuhara, who's had some good wins in Japan, is, unorthodox. And, Helen's beaten her, but, she took her out 3-0 in the finals. But that, if Manisha stays at 57, now keep in mind this was 57 plus 2. But if she stays at 57, she's going to be a threat in the world. And somebody, just to keep in mind down at 57 now, she's going to be a problem.
Macy Kilty, I just love how consistent she is. That's the word you've always used talking about Macy Kilty is consistency. And she just goes and performs every time. And you can just expect her to come away with a medal almost. She gets a bronze medal here. And I think the takeaway here is the big match where she dominated Grace Boolin of Norway in the quarterfinals.
Again.
She's had the back and forth with some scrambles, but I think that's a statement win right there. Loses to Ozaki 5-2, but then pins Hungary in the bronze medal match. I think that's a good performance for Macy.
I think it's a very good performance, and I think it was really good. First of all, she's now dominated Boolin the last 2 times they wrestled. So she had pinned her, I think. She lost and she pinned her, and this time she just, dominated. She's up, 10-2 and pinned her. So I think she feels pretty good about that. She's figured out how to wrestle Boolin and stay out of some of those positions. She's always dangerous. But I really like the fact, she lost the match and she gave up some points early. And then really, if you watch that match, the whole second period was Macy attacking, Ozaki holding on, getting stalemates, fighting out of positions. But Macy was really the one. I would say Ozaki survived that match more than won it. And I think this is a great match for Macy to have as a data point to see where she is. Ozaki's a world champ up higher weights at 65, an Olympic medalist at 68. She didn't make the team because she lost to Matoki at 62, but she's right there with the others. There's a lot of very good Japanese at 62. But this is good that Macy got to wrestle her, and I think she should take away that she can go with her. I think it was an important match for her.
And then Scott, this is your baby. This is your weight class, 59 kilograms. Abby Netty gets bronze, loses to Nagamoto in the semis, and then Janiak loses in the finals to Nagamoto. Both got teched, but there's some big wins there. Janjak beats Brugger, Urbanova, and then you have Nettie beating Bogner and Goon. I think that there's some great building blocks here for a really solid 59 kilograms domestically.
Yes, for sure. I think it's a pretty deep weight, in the U.S. And I think it's only getting tougher that weight class. Um, and it's funny, Nagamoto. You haven't seen that much recently, but she back, in the day, years ago in 2019, she was like a, top two or three in Japan. She's a cadet world silver, a U-23 world silver. Then you don't see her. Then she just pops in, and you know you don't see Anya and Nettie getting teched all that much. So she techs them both, right? So it's just another tribute to the depth of Japan that these names they're just so deep. It's unbelievable, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out there. And we said, and we're pretty deep at 59 as well. Where between my daughter Nettie, um, it's just going to be crazier. I mean, this weight is just going to be God knows where Jakar will be or not. I mean, it's a deep weight class.
And then credit to Amanda Martinez getting a bronze, loses to Takahara 7-1, and then has a nice win over Suleiman for bronze. I just think that she's showing that she can be right there.
She's tough, and Kalamaglu, Suleiman Kalamaglu, or one of those permutations of the name, is very good. She wrestled for a senior world medal when she was like 18, I think. So she's very good. That was a very solid win for Amanda. And Amanda is very physical, is a gamer, doesn't have the most massive repertoire, but what she does well. Hard to score on, great defense, and a great blast out.
Let's go back to Everest Leydecker and just putting her in context. I think that it's unique because if you were to poll a lot of the high school girls about, do you know the history of the sport? I would guess a lot don't know who Helen is, or maybe Sarah Hildebrandt, or even going back to Patricia Miranda. You look at Everest Leydecker, she's training with them. So you're
I know.
around this nonstop. And so I see her as an incarnation of Dan Gable. If you watch his documentaries and you hear what he has to say, I've mentioned this documentary before, but In Search of Greatness, you hear Wayne Gretzky and what he says. He said, I didn't really have an interest in going and playing with my friends. I wanted to go hit shots in the backyard on the ice because that's what I love to do. Dan Gable would say the same thing. You watch the Sports Century documentary, he'd be in a movie, he'd want to leave because he wanted to go train. This is what they find enjoyment in doing. And I think Everest Leydecker is the same way. I think she enjoys wrestling. I think she
Yeah.
loves studying wrestling. I think she loves being around it. She's a student of the sport. So I just think you're seeing someone who is around this and immersed in it. So if you're trying to get someone to a baseline level of knowing who the athletes are, she's beyond that because she's working out them day to day. Whether it's Kayla Miracle, your daughter, Helen Maroulis, you go down the line, she's around this and studying it. I just think it's a neat thing to see, and she can really be the future because of that. So I just see
Yeah.
comparisons between Dan Gable and Everest Leydecker.
Yeah, and in that room, I mean, Mikhail for the first time just actually drilled and did a practice, part of a practice, scrapped a little with Henry Cejudo. I mean, so like she could grab a Henry Cejudo and roll with him, as a UFC champion, two weights, and Olympic gold medalist. I mean, there's so many people, and the junkies are like that. I mean, you remember, I think it was after his first Olympics where like John Smith, evidently, legend has, was on a beach in Mexico trying to relax after winning an Olympic gold medal, and he couldn't take it. He was like grabbing people like drill with, and he left early. He just didn't like it. So the great ones, yeah, they love the sport and they're very into it. You need to just make sure you balance that with not overtraining and having injuries. And this is a to quote Lee Miracle, wrestling is an ultra marathon. It's not a marathon. It's not a sprint. You got to do it over time. So you just want to keep your body healthy, and your mind healthy.
And although the game has changed completely when Dan Gable was in his prime, you just look at the comparisons. He didn't have the opportunities to wrestle in these international tournaments, but after he graduated high school, he won the Midlands And I think that really set him up to this guy could be special. Now, freshmen couldn't compete at the time. You only had 3 years of eligibility. But when you go and 6 months after you graduate high school, 7 months after you graduate high school, you're winning a college open that is tougher than the NCAA championships. That shows you where you are. And so the same thing with Everest Leydecker, you're going and winning 2 international tournaments against world medalists. It just shows you exactly where you are in comparison to the senior level.
Absolutely. And, there are times you can go to a tournament like the Flats Open or maybe the Spanish Open in Madrid, and it's maybe not that deep, but that was a tough weight class. This tournament, the brackets were good in that tournament. And she beat Anthem. And then Zask, who is a grown woman who's very physical. It's not like she's wrestling other 18-year-olds in that situation. Anthem's still relatively young, but she's pretty solid, pretty physical, and pretty all over the place. Not to belabor the point, but you can't just grab somebody in the room and say, okay, wrestle like Everest Leydecker. It's this style, this length, the grabbing of the hands, the control, the being able to scramble. It's a pretty unique style, just like you can't say, to train to wrestle Amit Elor, just underhook me like a meat and push forward. Gut me like a meat. She does it in such a way that it's not really mimicable, all these things.
And let's start looking toward the next international ranking tournament, which your daughter will be a part of. It's just fun now that we get these right now. Even just recently, Emma Bruntil is back in the wrestling game. She won the
Yes,
Klippan
good to
Lady
see
Open.
her.
I love to see that because she was part of making a world team in 2023. She was right there. And you just know that she has a big upside. So the more we can get our elite athletes competing, you want that to hone those. And it wouldn't surprise me if she's right there. If she's at 65, she can give Macy a run. That's not going to be a gimme now for Macy.
Well, she knows how to wrestle. I mean, the biggest thing with Emma is she, unfortunately, she had a lot of injuries, and I'm hoping she's fully healed and stays healthy. So she never, she was just literally going where she would train and then get injured and have to take time off. And she didn't choose for the surgery. Then she finally got some surgeries, and it's just a lot of neck injuries and among others. So perhaps I believe concussions maybe, but I'm hoping she's healthy because Emma Bruntil is a gamer, number one, and she's got a style that can frustrate people. She's hard to score on, So it was good to see her back. She did a good job, won her tournament. If she's healthy, she's absolutely a contender, whatever weight class she goes.
And she said that before, that she's at her best when she's competing more. So if she can get out there and not just be on a pitch count, I think the more competition she gets, the better she's going to be. So it wouldn't surprise me if you're going to see her, if she's healthy, to be in some of these ranking tournaments.
Yeah, and these neck injuries are tough. And I'll just tell you something. So Michaela when she had the neck injury, she had a double disc replacement, which is not, it's not the fusion, a replacement. And I remember the doctor said, and this is very hard, he said, your mind is going to determine how you progress from this. And it took a little while to get over this hump meaning your neck, and this is a guy that did a lot of wrestlers. He's done a lot of football players at Iowa, the surgeon. And he said, your neck is fine. You just have to believe it's fine. But if you shoot and you're tentative, you try to adjust your style. And Allie Reagan had a little bit of problem. She had the disc replacement. I don't think she had the double, but she didn't shoot as much and hand fought more and went up her body. But you have to trust that your neck is fine. I'm telling you it's fine. Your neck is fine. But if you wrestle like it's not fine and wrestle tentatively, that's going to stop your career. You have to get on. And you still at first get some stingers. It doesn't feel 100% fine. It physically is, but you still may have some lingering pain or stingers, and you have to be able to mentally believe that. Now, I think in Michaela's case, I think she's there, but that took a while. It takes a while, and if you don't let that go, you're never going to be the same wrestler. So these things are difficult, both physically and mentally, especially the neck and back stuff.
Give us a snapshot of what you're looking forward to with the next ranking tournament, Albania. There's going to be some good competition there. We're in that season right now. What do you think?
I love 62 is deep. You have Las Dungas from Brazil, Dudova world champ, Angelique from India. Then you got Grace Bulin, Limborg from Sweden, Propevniak from Ukraine, Adugo, Kilty, Tandalova. I mean, this is Sidelnikova, who's up a weight, who's a, wrestled for world medals. I love 59. You have Brugge from Germany, Bogner, Hui from Norway, world medalist, Vinnik from Ukraine, world silver, Nettie, Beck, Lipitova. I mean, these weights are, you have Emma Bruntil's wrestling in that one again. So we talked about her. You got Ince, Jen Page, Nina Makem, Kasabieva from Russia. I mean, there are some good. And then I love it, 57, and she went up, which, Verbena, who I really like from UWW, Amanda Martinez, the other twin Vinnik, who's a two-time U23 world champion, is silver. Manisha from India. So we have Samantha Stewart, world medalist, Valverde from Ecuador, who wrestled for a medal in the Olympics. Now she's been training at Valiant, which is another thing the Valiant does, which I love. These random people just pop in and they'll spend a couple of weeks there or a month. So, she's been there. Valverde, who's, older and been around, but she wrestled in 2 Olympics, so that's a great, training partner. So I'm really, I've been whipping them off at 50. You have Kendra Ryan, Aaron Goldston, you have Oksana Livac from Ukraine, Manuel Luigi from Italy. I mean, Nakamura from Japan was very tough. So, these weights are pretty loaded. This is gonna be a good tournament. I'm looking forward to watching it. I enjoyed the other one, and we're game on part of wrestling season right now.
Game on, and the storyline of the year, the weight class of the year has been 103, and it's just gotten even more interesting with what's going on right now. So let's just break this down for a second. Olivia Shore from Otterbein, 2-time national champion. She won it at 101 in 2022 and then won one last year when it went up to 103. She has announced that she is retiring from competition. So she is out. She wrestled at 110 and won a couple matches in a home duel and I think it was a triangular. So she is done. She made an announcement.
She's done.
She's done with competition.
You know what? I'm just going to say she was a fighter, spunky. When she was on, she was on. Good career. Good job. I wish her well.
Yeah, and she was fun, and she was one of those that really led the charge and was one of those early pioneers, especially in Ohio. So we will miss her. I don't know what her future holds for competing, but I want her to stay in the sport. She's been important. So she won it last year at 103. Okay. Gabby Tedesco from McKendree was second place. She's moved up to 110. Here's where it gets interesting because we have to assume that Val Solorio will be the starter for the University of Iowa. She was at 110 last year. She's won everything she's had to do from the beginning until the end. She won the Grandview Open. It has to be her spot. So the highest returning placers now at 103, Rhiannon Murphy placed third last year. Sterling Diaz placed fourth last year. They were both at Iowa. They will not be going to the national championships because of the new format and only one per. So the best returner or the highest returnings will not be because you have someone that replaced you at the University of Iowa who was not even in the starting
assuming that they go with which they should based on results, but we don't know. We don't know that for a fact. We'll find out next weekend, but right. I mean,
we will find out, but I would assume that it will be Val Solorio based on every piece of data that you see. So Odelia Lopez from Schreiner has graduated. Avery Kibblebeck, 6th place. She has moved up to 110. 7th place last year was Maddie Avila. She's of North Central. She's won a national championship. I don't know if it's going to be her or Bree Graves, so we will see at the regionals. And then you have Mia Zuniga, who was at King last year. She placed 8th. Now she's at Colorado Mesa. So this is absolutely blown up. But now you get a lot of these great wrestlers like Heather Kroll coming into the mix. You might have Bree Graves. 103, top to bottom, has been so fascinating because, like we said, 4 great 103 pounders will be watching from the stands. It's unbelievable.
Crazy. And I'm sure I don't care what the former placings were. It's going to be a great weight class to watch. It'll be very solid. But yeah, the biggest competition in many cases in the weight class has been in the wrestling rooms, probably, or at these other tournaments to see who got the spot,
And then you do bookends. 207 is just as compelling right now because you have Eliana Bomarito. You have Katja Osteen, who's been wrestling lights out for the University of Iowa. You have to assume that she's going to be the starter. Shanita Lawson is a 180. I'm assuming they're going to bump her up to 207. Tristan Kelly's the returning national champion. Sabrina Noss is a returning finalist at 180. She's been at 207. We'll see if she'll go back down. And then Savannah Isaac, who was an NAIA champion at 207. She's wrestling for Tiffin. So you have 6 quality wrestlers right there. Not even naming Julia Ritchie or Sakona from Colorado Mesa. 207 just got loaded.
And it's also, you've had all these conflicting results. It's not like, any of them have walked through. They've all taken losses. It's and had moments where, upsets and big wins. So it's going to be very interesting. But we're going to learn a lot after these qualifying tournaments. We'll see the lay of the land.
And then we tried to break down 117 pounds, try to make sense of this. You have Yu Sakamoto. Don't know if Sage is going to stay at 117 pounds, but she's been there in and out through the season. So if Sage Mortimer's there, Carissa Turnwall is still undefeated for Emmanuel. Abby Cooper, who is a U20 world teamer and was close to getting a medal, she is in there. Alex Weitzman, who just beat Brianna Gonzalez, and that's a unique situation of the For Her Duels because you have Desiree Ramos, who is the coach of Alex Weitzman and also coach Brianna Gonzalez in clubs. So she had 2 of her clubs kids going against each other. It's just gotten loaded. So you have Brianna Gonzalez, who I think is a little injured right now. She's a final Xer. She won the U.S. Open, and now she's hitting 5 or 6 in the rankings right now.
That's
just
unbeliable.
It's off the charts how this is right now. It's just incredible.
U.S. Open champ is ranked 5th, 6th. I forget what the number is, but yeah. But yeah, I think there's some injuries involved. But yeah, it's exceptionally deep. Weight classes are stacked. Some of them. I mean, 31 is insanity, in my opinion.
Yeah, but look, yeah, Cam Guerin's there. You have Alexis Janiak is there.
Janiak is ranked 3rd. Just think of that. And she lost a close match to Crazier. But I mean, Cam Guerin's a 4-time national champion, but Janiak's beating world medalists. She's beaten Hui, she's beaten Brugger. I mean, it's crazy. These are senior world medalists she's beating, and multiple age group world medalists, herself. And then it's stacked. You have Moto XMP at 24 is ranked 3rd, right? I mean, it's she's a U.S. Open champ, world team member, I believe. We're getting good. This is good stuff.
It's a testament. It's a testament to the depth, and these regionals are going to be so much fun. So the format is there's 18 qualifiers to the NCAA championships, 6 regionals, top 3 go. So there's a lot on the line. So every single match is going to feel like a championship match because it's leading into the championship. So this is championship season. This is how you qualify. And this is big time stuff right here going into the inaugural NCAA championships. For Her Duels, what it did for me was it made me realize how special the national duels are because when you had the national duels, you put every single opportunity to win out there. You saw full lineups, you saw loaded lineups. Wasn't necessarily the case at the For Her Duels, even though we saw some good competition. Iowa won it. You didn't have Kennedy Blades. I now want to credit Ella Schmit for moving up to 160 and filling that
going up 9 weight classes.
Yeah, I mean, she's wrestled at 138 and moving up there. She deserves a lot of credit for showing how gritty she is, the heart she has, and filling in when she needed to do that because Kennedy Blades was coming back from a tournament. But that was a special thing. And just looking at that, you didn't have full lineups across the board, but the one thing it also reinforced, Iowa won, beat McKendree in the NCAA portion, and then Life lost to William Penn in the NAIA portion. But I wish we had William Penn and Life all together with the other NCAA because they are that good. I mean, William Penn and Life, they are that good top to bottom.
Absolutely.
And they really showed how they've built these quality teams. And my hat's off to these NAIA programs that have built this to think the ability to recruit this talent in there, retain it, and to develop it. I think that's the big thing right here. And they do deserve a lot of credit.
Yeah. And just to your point about, the concept about full lineups and how good the national duels are, it's kind of a double-edged sword because these ladies wrestle a ton of matches. This is a very full schedule and they're not just wrestling dual meets. They're wrestling tournaments. Some of the wrestlers are going overseas and competing as seniors. So the issue is, to me, on one hand, we're going to have a chance where, with the way the NCAA is doing it, where you only have one qualifier, a lot of the good athletes aren't going to want to be on the bench. If they're not going to start, they're not going to want to do this. And you can't even have a situation now where you lose in overtime and you're not the starter, but you still can go to the national tournament and you could still win. Now that's over. So on one hand, that should help other teams because it'll spread the talent out a little bit. But on the other hand, they're competing so much that you can't you need backups because your starters are just going to get hurt or burnt out if they wrestle week after week, especially if they sprinkle in some senior level stuff. So I think it creates a dilemma. And I almost think you wrestle too many matches, if you want to know the truth. I think the schedule is too packed in terms of number of matches, and I think it should be slightly less just for the overall mental health of the athletes. I think they're going to college, and they're living their lives too. It's tough to cut weight every week and wrestle in a game on, big match or big tournament. It's just, I don't think people understand how it wears on you over a year. And then a lot of these athletes are competing in the spring and fall, at senior level events, trying to make world teams, age group or senior.
And McKendry was missing 4 starters, and we didn't even mention Tristan Kelly previously at the Zagreb. She got silver medal, and
Yes.
she continues to make progress and gains. And for me, I think she's still the favorite at 207. She's the returning national champion. I know she took that loss at the national duels, but if you're asking me who I think will win it at 207, I still think she's the favorite just based on what she's done and the track record she has.
She's a defending national champ, and she lost one match, right? I mean, so until proven otherwise, she's at the top of the hill, and we'll see what happens in the tournament.
And Ursinus deserves some credit here because they won some big matches. They beat Indiana Tech 24-20. They beat William Jewell 28-20. And you just saw some of these competitions that you're going to see potentially at the NCAA championships take place in a dual format. And you just love to see the dual concept. It's fun when it's full. And we talked so much about the William Penn versus Life, and that finally did play out. And you wanted to see where the Nigerians were and where Mia Palumbo is. And you really see Mia Palumbo being back down at 110. She is a force, and there's a reason she's so good and why she's been one of the best wrestlers in the country for the last several years.
Yeah, and Ogunsanya had some dominant wins over good people. I mean, I think she had a statement, weekend, and she's, a force, and she just keeps getting better and better. And yes, I didn't, Palumbo's at the right weight. She's a force, and she seems to be healthy, and having battled injuries in the past. So that's good to see, her where I think she should be.
So it was a monster weekend when you have the Grandview Open, followed by the Her Duels. It was just it was just overload, which is awesome because you get that much wrestling. You have this incredible tournament, the best end of the year tournament in the country where everyone's just trying to see where they are, testing ground. I think Iowa used it as their de facto wrestle off, which is why I think we'll see Val Solorio at 103 pounds, which is why I think we'll see Valencia at 110 pounds for the University of Iowa. But you really get to see where things are. Lehigh sent some wrestlers there to maybe just get a little extra competition. But you go into that, and then you get the Her Duels. This is down the home stretch. This is what we've been waiting for. This is why we've wanted the NCAA championships. D3 is going to be splitting off in a couple years, so embrace this. This is a unique time in women's college wrestling.
Oh, for sure. It's historic, and we're excited to see how things play out, and stay tuned.